Hey everybody, it's Dave Whitmarsh calling in here from Whitmarsh Consulting Group, CEO. Running a couple of sessions today, and first one we have a special guest from Percival, Klaus, who's this co-founder. And I'm really actually looking forward to this session. I've spent a lot of time in the compensation space, but I haven't seen a detailed presentation on team set salaries. So fair compensation for agile teams, and hope you enjoy it. And the slides and the archive will be sent back to you in case you want to ask that question. There is a chat in the bottom. You can certainly drop questions in there, and I will do my best to answer them. And I'll kick it over to Klaus now. Thanks, Klaus.
Hi, Dave. Thank you. My name is Klaus. I'm the CEO at Percival. And we have a big problem, Dave. Companies in general have a big problem because our teams are getting more agile. Our business is getting more agile. We want our teams to be more multi-skilled, collaborative, autonomous, and it becomes harder and harder to compensate people properly, to appraise them, right? To do performance review. No one knows properly how much each person has contributed. No individual can know, but the team itself knows, right? It's like when you have a school project, right? You have a team, and some people do all the work, some people do less, some people contribute more, some people contribute less, and we have to have a way to appraise that. And when I started in 2002 with this method, I was managing 60 people. It was 2 managers for 60 people, and the team was growing. And I wanted a way that the team could tell me, "Hey, Klaus, we believe this is how we should share the compensation budget." I would set a budget like a pie, right? 100% pie, and I wanted the team to tell me, and there wasn't any process. Right? Sometimes companies improvise with 360-degree reviews or something like that. But in the end, some manager or a circle, right? A compensation circle, a committee has to calibrate and has to decide. So team set salaries is a process to allow the team itself to solve this subjectivity. There is always a certain subjectivity element to it, and we want to allow the team to solve it, and not a single manager or a group of managers. So the team has a better perception of fairness. Let's move on here. So team set salary is the only process that appraises members of agile teams in a fair and 100% collaborative way. There is no need, even if you have a flat team, 100% flat without managers, you can decide. You can split your compensation using team set salaries. There are other processes like simply consensus based, like a meeting or money pile, other processes for that, but they don't scale. They work okay until 10, maybe 12 people. You can do money pile, but imagine doing money pile with 60 people. It's just not realistic.
And so most of these then instances that people use then, so do you find that it's for a project, for a percentage of their overall team compensation, or do you find it could be used instead of like a rewards and recognition software? Instead of getting trinkets or gift cards, you could use it for something like that?
Yes, team set salaries is used for compensation, the actual salary budget, to share the salary budget, but also for bonuses. It could be a bonus for a project, or it could be a yearly bonus or something like that. So yes.
Yeah, so the agility really comes into factoring in projects, right? Because typically what I think most organizations, they're like, okay, this is set. I don't have to worry about it for months, right? Or years, right? Unless of course they're a new hire. And so they can just put it to rest, but that doesn't really fuel any sort of motivation to work harder or
Sure.
stimulate, any sort of engagement for recognition along the way,
Many
right?
many companies want already to, they would like to have such an input from the team, but there simply isn't a mechanism. There isn't a way to do that. They try to improvise, as I said, with 360-degree reviews, and then have a calibration process, or maybe the self-set salary, process where the person has to present a proposal and defend it, uh, with a committee. But team set salaries is a simple. It's an easy process, a mechanism that teams can use to share. And as you'll see, it's like it takes maybe 15 minutes, half an hour for each team member to express their opinion. So it's a very low overhead process.
Very cool.
So what are our main goals here? We want to engage talents, right? We want the good people to stay, and we want to attract more good people to the company. We want to make compensation fairer. We want not only we want it to be fair, but we want the perception, the team's perception of fairness to be there too. So if we have a manager or a group of managers deciding, it's always an external person to the team, right? So I always have that excuse to say, oh, the manager doesn't like me, or manager is favoring someone else. Even if the manager is trying to be 100% fair and unbiased, even then the perception of fairness isn't good when you have someone else deciding people's salaries. So if it's the team, if it's like 20 people in my team, and they're telling me, Klaus, this is where you stand within the team, I'll say, okay, the team is telling me that. It's not a single person being biased towards me, something like that. We want to transform individualism into collaboration. Okay, and we want to reduce the costs, reduce overhead. Why
sorry, I see overhead here. So you'll get into it. Okay, sorry, I haven't been through there, seen the deck. So go ahead.
So traditionally, right, with traditional processes, many hours are spent by management and the team members themselves. Some processes like self-set salaries, they'll set aside like 2-3 days for the person to prepare their proposal. It's a lot of time. People are boxed in by job descriptions. We try to give people very well-defined job descriptions so that we can have salaries tied to those. And with agile teams, we don't want that. We want people to learn and have new responsibilities and be collaborative and autonomous and so on. We don't want people to stay fixed in their box, right? The final call is made by a manager or a small circle. The subjective criteria employed are never completely clear. There always is a subjective element when we're dealing with knowledge work, right? And collaborative knowledge work, there's no other way. There'll always be an element of subjectivity. Resentment. The team will often perceive compensation as unfair. And whenever a skilled employee becomes unhappy about their workplace, the most common reaction is to switch jobs. Fairness, when comparing, when employees compare their salaries to each other, this comparison, this fairness is much more important than when they compare themselves to the market. So for example, let's say 3 people, we went to college together, me, you, David, and some other colleague of ours, and we are working together in the same company, and this other colleague of ours went somewhere else. Maybe if they get 10% more than we do, or 20% more than we do, it's okay for us. It's a different company, different realities. But if you're working with me and we agree that we sort of do the same job, right? And we have the same skill and so on. If the manager comes and says, look, David will get 1% more than you, Klaus, I'll be, outraged. What you mean? Why? And the manager says, no, that's just my my decision. He's going to get 1% more. I'll be completely, I'll leave the company because I'll be outraged, right? So this fairness in compensation, when we compare colleagues, is very important, even more important than the actual amount that people get by a large percentage. 13.2% is the turnover rate at IT companies in Brazil, for example. 2 to 5 salaries are used to replace an employee. That's a number similar to the US as well. 56 hours on average time spent on 360-degree appraisals involving seven employees. So just a few numbers to
I guess I never really, put any hours on that process of doing those 360s, but you're right. It is quite the undertaking, an undertaking, truthfully, that nobody likes, right?
Yep.
In any part of that 360, no matter where you come from, nobody likes it at all.
So recently, many HR gurus and many companies are simply dropping performance appraisals altogether, because they take too long and it's only once a year. People need more frequent feedback, and that's right. But they provide no solution for compensation. How do we compensate these people then, if we're going to drop appraisals altogether? People are simply train the managers better, so they decide better. It's really not a solution.
Well, and still, even if you give the manager some training on there, you're still coming in way under from an overall time perspective, right?
Mm-hmm. So if we do traditional peer reviews, whenever members of a team are inquired as to whether a coworker should get a raise, the answer is mostly always yes. Many more people are voted worthy of a raise than the company can possibly afford. Administrators end up having to arbitrarily calibrate results. Such inflated peer appraisals are unavoidable, since they originate from the very positive traits in our teams: optimism, ambition, friendship, and mutual aid, right? They're intelligent people. They want to help each other. They're ambitious. So they'll inflate results, right, when we do peer appraisals. This is an example, a chart by a company called Novatech in Germany. Each line represents a person, right, an employee. The center of the line represents where the employee currently is, and the X's mark where people have voted for this, the new salary for this person. So you can see that most votes are to the right, which means everybody's gonna, or most people here are gonna get a raise, right? This is an inevitable effect that we get with traditional peer reviews. That's why they don't work. You need a manager to come in later and say, look, but actually only this guy is going to get a raise, or only this guy is going to get a raise, right?
Yeah, so well, of course, if you're a part of a team, you want everybody to have more money, right?
Sure.
That's just a given, right? There's a human side of things, but that doesn't always align with what the CEO says as far as the pay increases for the year, right?
Sure. And if a manager is going to step in and decide anyway, I'm like, why did you ask me in the first place? Just decide. Don't waste my time doing appraisals if you're going to decide in the end. So the right question to ask isn't who should get a raise or how much should each person get. The question is, how big a slice of a pie does each colleague deserve? Okay, so supposing the pie is a split, is a budget, right? 100% of the budget. Asking how the budget should be sliced represents embracing its finite nature, and is the only question that will lead to a clear, actionable answer. So the CEO, as you said, the CEO decides, okay, we have 30% of a budget increase for this team, right? We're going to give raises to this team. Some people deserve raises more than others. Some people already have a good salary compared to what they contribute. So the question is, who will get these raises, right? How much? By asking this question, how much of a slice of the entire pie does each person deserve? Whenever one states that a certain colleague deserves a bigger slice, it's automatically understood that the others deserve less, and vice versa, right? Therefore, stating that everyone deserves a raise is not possible.
Well, and so, having worked in a few a customer service team in my early 20s, and I know I've told you this before, but one of the things that
I like this story.
Yeah, one of the things I did, like, it was amazing that we had people all the time, and the job in that was, nobody could leave until everything was done. All the orders had to be processed. We had overnight delivery, and so, there was a bunch of folks there that were great hard workers, and they would stay till 6, 7, 8 if they had to, every night of the week to get the job done. And they were critical in order for that department to function. And yet they often got complained about by some of the department because they were also, might come in a half hour late in the morning.
Okay.
And it was because they worked 3 hours, at night, but the people that were 9 to 5 never saw that, never took that into account. But without those people, the department just wouldn't have worked, right? And ultimately the whole order process wouldn't work. So to give credit to those people when theoretically they could be documented because they came in late, really is a complete different set of paradigms, right? So one, a few people didn't appreciate them at all, and the other people knew that including management, knew that we needed to have them, to keep the thing going. So it would be great to be able to award those people instead of going, here's your cost of living increase this year, right?
Yep. Exactly. And some people start off maybe as interns, but some people take 3-4 years to improve, to evolve. Some people in 2-3 months, they're already killing it, right? So we want, and the team sees this, so we want to be able to compensate these people, to be able to keep these people, right?
Yeah, and one thing, that I don't really think you'll probably get into that much is, there's a number of studies through Gallup and through DDI that talk about the acknowledgement from management and from teams, often goes farther than, a pretty minuscule pay raise, right? And so by having a process like this in place to acknowledge your top performers by their peers, which I'm sure should be broadcasted from the management at some point too, is just absolutely nothing but acknowledging your top performers. So that's a great plan for engagement, right?
Instead of forcing them to have to come to you and negotiate and seek jobs elsewhere, seek positions elsewhere, and get salary offers, and they come back and say, look, I got an offer. So instead of having this process which actually makes people look outside and want to leave, if you proactively come preemptively and give people a raise. Look, we saw the team has seen that you have really evolved, you're killing it, and so we want to give you a raise. That is really it's different than one is the person realizes that they're in a different company with a different mindset, and that's very nice. So the result we want in the end is something like this. If I have a 16 people, I want them to run the process, right? Do their appraisals, and in the end, this is the result we want. So Sydney, for example, gets 14.9, Kim gets 17.1, Kelly 19.3, Alex 12.3, and so on. And so in the end, as a manager, I'll get these numbers. I'll compare with what people currently are making, right? What their salary currently is, and then I'll give raises to people. So, for example, Kelly here on the right? Kelly, the team says she deserves 19.3 of the salary budget, but today, let's say she's only getting 10% of the salary budget. So, if I have a raise, if the CEO gives me a raise, gives this team a raise, she's a candidate for a raise, right? On the other side, maybe I have to let someone go. Right, I have a cut. I have a budget cut, and I have to let someone go. The team can say, look, Alex is only contributing 12%, but I can look here that currently his salary is like 20% of the budget, and he's contributing only 12.3%. So he's a candidate for dismissal, for example, right? So all sorts of decisions in this sense, you can use these results too.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're really going to see in the U.S. over the next year or so, fingers crossed, to some degree, but there will be a labor shortage. There's no question about it, And you're going to have to be fighting for talent, and you're going to have to be rewarding these people and departments just to keep them. And I don't know why you wouldn't implement something like this, for maybe 10 or 20% of the overall department, or maybe even higher. I haven't pulled out my calculator to figure it out, but their overall budgets to really make sure that you're keeping the best of the best in those departments with all those new hires, right?
For knowledge work in IT, there is already a shortage, right? There are already many more open positions than the market can fill.
Yeah, and even some of the states, like a few weeks ago, I was looking through Colorado, and Colorado is already under 3% unemployment rate, so it's going to be a big issue.
So team set salary is a compensation process for autonomous and multidisciplinary teams. Okay, if you have people working alone, like individuals and like salesmen, salespeople, and each individual does his own sales and they don't collaborate, there isn't much of a point. But if people collaborate and the team is autonomous, then yes. It applies an elegant algorithm in order to achieve a fair result, balancing all teams' appraisals. I'll show you how the appraisals are made in a second. It is used to establish salaries, profit sharing, partitioning of bonuses, and even company shares. One of our clients used TSS for several years to share, distribute shares in the company. It's used by managers, right, in hierarchical companies, and also in horizontal companies. It solves the lack of adequate compensation solutions for systems such as holacracy, sociocracy, TEAL, and Management 3.0. Management 3.0, for example, suggests a salary formula or even money pile, which don't scale. So here's how each team member does his appraisal, right? A round of TSS is periodically performed so that each team member independently appraises the contribution of their colleagues, expressing how big a slice of the cake would be fair for each one in their opinion. So let the video start over. Okay, so I'm doing an appraisal here. I'm saying I think Jamie was the person who contributed the most. Then Kelly and Kim came in second, and the last was Alex. Okay, so this is my opinion. These little blue boxes are the certainty. Here I can express how well I know each person. So Alex and Sydney, I don't know them very well. I'm just leaving a low certainty level. Jamie, I know a bit more. Kelly a bit more, and Andrea is the person who I know the most. So I put here a high level of certainty. When the algorithm runs to calculate the result, these certainties are taken into account, right? The lower the certainty level, the lower its influence will be for the TSS results. These levels here, we're only seeing 4 levels in this picture, but there are infinite levels up and down. It doesn't matter where on the scale. You can see that these levels, they aren't numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, because it doesn't matter where you put people on the scale. There are many levels up and down. What matters is the difference in levels between one person and another. So I'm saying Jamie is 1 level above these two. These two are on the same level. They are 1 level above these two here, and they are 1 level above Alex. I could skip 3 levels, for example. I could put Alex 3 levels down, or I could put Jamie 1 or 2 levels up. It's not a stack ranking, because I can tie people if I want. If I believe they produce the same, they contribute the same, I can.
Very cool. Do you find that some people, especially with bigger departments, might put it in groups of 10, just because they can visualize the 10% per group, or
using the levels here?
Yeah, using the levels.
We in Percival, each level represents a 20% difference. Okay, so I'm saying Jamie, in my appraisal, deserve 20% more of the pie than Kelly and Kim. They deserve 20% more than these guys, and these guys deserve 20% more than Alex, right? Why 20%? These numbers we discovered them empirically. I've run like hundreds of since 2002 with several companies of mine and partner companies, hundreds of appraisal rounds, and we tried with 10%, we tried with 20, 25, 33%, and 20% is what we found made the most sense to people. If I make it too small, like 10%, it starts to become hard. Oh, should Kim, should I put Kim one or two levels above this other person? If it's too granular, it doesn't, the comparison doesn't make sense. And if it's too broad, if above 20%, like 33%, I start grouping too many people in the same level. So 20% is a number we believe is makes most sense to people.
Okay.
So we implemented the algorithm in a tool called Percival. It's percival.live, the site. It's the only tool with an algorithm that balances relative appraisal, achieving the fairest possible result. So it will take all the appraisals that this here, each person did his own, right? So this was my opinion, and each person can have their own opinion, right? It will integrate all those opinions in a relative scale. So this is like a relative exponential scale. So this is not something that you can do on an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. That's why companies don't have this mechanism so easily. But Percival balances all these appraisals in this relative scale, and in gray is the result, the actual team result: 17.1, 19.3, 12.3, 15, 21. If you add up the gray values, you'll get 100%, right? So that's the entire pie. And in blue, each person can see. So Julia is the person looking at this graph right now. If the manager has decided to publish results, right, it's optional. You can publish results, or you can keep them. The manager can keep them for their eyes only. If they publish the result, then Julia can compare. This was her opinion, the appraisal she made, compared to the team's opinion, right? And here in Annan's case, her opinion was the same as the team's opinion. So this is how you have the pie sliced in the end. What do you get with this? One of our clients started using Percival. They reduced, after 2 years, they reduced their turnover in 66.7%.
Yeah,
Right.
I would bet that the real number that you want there is reducing your turnover of people that you want to keep. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like
Yep.
turnover is one factor, but keeping your A players is critical. So
one thing that happens is maybe Bruno thinks he is a star and so on, but the team tells him, look, Bruno, you're one of the least contributors. Maybe he's a good technician, but he doesn't help anyone. He's arrogant. He treats the client badly. So he thinks he's a star, but really. So one thing that I observed that happens is these people who get results much below what they think they thought they deserve, sometimes they leave the company by themselves. The manager doesn't have to say, look, Bruno, we have to let you go. They simply see that, look, this is the team telling me, I'm not a good fit here. This of course is one case. Another case is Bruno is a new guy. He's learning, and it's okay. He knows it's expected that he'll have a low contribution, and with time he will improve. He will learn. He will increase.
Right. And if Bruno's a good employee, then Bruno could go to his or her manager and say, hey, I was a little disappointed with my results. That's not where I want to be. How
what
can
I
you
do?
help me to get up in the top of the pile? And now you have a proactive employee based off of some feedback instead of negative. And if they are negative, and then get rid of them, right? That's that's just a reality of doing business, that there is going to be turnover.
My experience is that they often leave on their own. This message is so clear from the team that they often leave on their own. And one thing that happens here, instead of Bruno's behavior, instead of just like sucking up to the manager, right, and trying to get in the favors of the manager, what happens with teams at Salaries is that your colleagues is like you have every colleague of yours is your boss, let's say, and you're their boss. So the best behavior you can have is simply do your work, help people, collaborate, communicate well. It's not just showing work to the manager and slacking off when the manager isn't around. You simply do your work well and help the team. That's the best is the behavior we observe, right? 72.5 less time spent on performance appraisal, 9.2% savings on direct costs in the team just from turnover reduction represents 9.2 direct savings on in that case for this specific client. So the benefits, right? You get clear numerical results, actionable results, right? Find out exactly how much each person deserves to make in the team's opinion. It's not like a 360-degree reviews where you have like, the manager has to interpret all these results and calibrate them. Being a result of a collective process, not only is it fair, but it's also perceived by the group as such. It's perceived as fair. It is compliant with the budget, right? Unlike traditional appraisals, there are no inflated results. And transparency is custom. You have 4 levels, from closed results to open appraisals for the whole team. So, many companies start their first round with closed results. So people will move the cars, do their appraisal, and the manager will use the results for himself for his own decisions. And as they gain confidence with the process, they open the results to the team.
Yeah, I like the fitting within the budget, right? I wonder how many, and this might be a Canadian term, but we call it a bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. So how many people would come up with their budget, and everybody says, we're on average we're 4.1 out of 5, and and the numbers just don't jive, and so now you have to take that and shrink everybody back down if you're matching to other departments or across the board in a big comp system, because somebody ranks higher, right? And so now you're dealing with an actual number, you're converting that actual number or dollar in this case, and the numbers are real, which can be plug and played instead of modified and up to discrepancy of nice people versus angry people.
So the team has of course they live in reality. They know that the budget is set. Someone in the company, the CEO or someone, will set a budget for this team, but they have a mechanism now to share this pie, let's say, without necessarily, it doesn't depend much on the size of the pie. If the pie grows, everyone will gain more, of course. But how we split the pie is really important, right? Anyone who has siblings or has children more or less the same age knows the importance of sharing things fairly, and it's just a human thing. It's basic fairness, right? Decency.
Yeah, well, my rule with my 2 children was, whoever cut the pie, the other person got the first choice.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how even things came out after that.
Yeah. So. And then there are there are mathematical ways of scaling this to 3 and 4 and 5 people, but it's tremendously complex. I don't know if it's curious to take a look at this. Appraisals are made in the most natural and precise way for human beings through relative comparison, right? It's very hard for anyone to fit anything into an absolute scale. For example, if I play a note on the piano and I ask people, what note is this? Most people don't know. They don't have an absolute ear. But if I play 2 keys that are close by, people can easily see which one is a higher pitch and a lower pitch, right? So the same is for comparing work. everyone in the team has an opinion of who contributes more and who contributes less, even though we don't necessarily know exactly how many dollars that person should get. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Each person will only appraise the colleagues they know, also rating the level of certainty in their appraisal between very low and very high. Okay, so the tool manages to produce significant results even in the absence of complete information. It will use the information it has, and it will give a result showing, look, this is the reliability score for each person. So if the team knows someone very little, let's say a person just joined the team, Percival will say, look, the certainty of the result for this person is very low, and the manager can decide if he's going to use that or not. This is an important thing, fraud detection. For most peer appraisal schemes, people might try to cheat, right? I can say, hey, Dave, why don't you appraise me 1 or 2 levels above everyone else, and I'll appraise you 1 or 2 levels above everyone else. We can help each other. This becomes immediately visible in the Percival results. It becomes immediately visible to the team or to the manager that I'm helping you and you're helping me. So we can be called in for a chat. And sometimes that's our actual true opinion. I'll say, look, guys, everyone here is leaving at 5, and Dave is staying, till 8 most days of the week. And I think we have to value that. And so people, oh no, you're right, Klaus. I have a true. I disagree with the team for a good reason. And so that's what makes Team Set Salaries a rich process, because we manage to integrate everyone's opinion. Right, that what makes it fair. But if I don't have a good reason, if I'm just well, but then they'll know we're cheating. So people are dissuaded from cheating.
Yeah, I know. In 10 years ago, we had a reward system in place at the organization I worked with, and it was common that every Friday we had to spend or give our points away, and our points equated to roughly about $5 a week. And unless you're a manager, then I think managers had $25 they could give out, and they could split it amongst 2 people. And what always happened, when every time I looked at these reports, because I had a bunch of people that reported into me, it was the same people that just rewarded each other back and forth. Right. So I give you my points for this week, you get these points. So effectively at the end of the year, somebody was given the same person $600, and that person was given somebody else $600, and it just bypassed the whole process of it. So there was definitely some holes in there, but having a bigger group, if you had taken that whole rewards and recognition budget that we had for performance or engagement and put it into a different formula, the results would have been way different.
Yeah, and you would have to justify it, right? You say, okay, you're giving $600 to this person and 0 to the rest of the team. Is it actually, is that your opinion? This person did all the work and the rest of the team did nothing. So, this becomes immediately obvious in the results, right? Another thing is that you separate talent development from compensation. For many years now, the HR people know that it's not a good idea to mix talent development and feedback with compensation. It becomes too mercenary of a thing, Oh, to improve, Klaus, you have to treat the client better. Oh, what do you mean I have to treat them better? I don't know, maybe, Klaus, you should smile more. So I go, if I smile like this, how much of a raise will I get? It becomes some, a mercenary, it's a crazy thing, right? If we tie compensation with feedback, we don't want to necessarily have to think about every improvement, every little bit of everything I do, becomes dollars and cents. We want to be able to separate this, but still we need a solution for compensation. We can't throw the baby away with the bathwater, right? We still need a solution for compensation. So in this way, we separate it completely. The company can use whatever mechanism they want, feedback canvas, one-on-one conversations, whatever talent development strategies they want. And Percival will focus on the quantitative, the the numerical value, which is the most important part of the equation, the hardest to get at.
Very cool.
A few of our clients. One of our greatest challenges is the decision to pay raises. Percival has helped us greatly. The team is now able to quickly appraise, and the results achieved are one of the pillars to making these decisions. This Alceres Lop is a partner at WebGoal. We've been using Percival groups for many years with our teams and trust its results to make important compensation decisions. This is Paulo Piccin, a partner at Objective Solutions. A few others on our site if people want to take a look.
So I'm going to ask sorry, it looks like this was the last slide,
it.
so I figured I might have jumped the gun a bit early there. But so how long? And by the way, if there's any questions from anybody that's on, feel free to come in. But so when you're talking about rolling this out to a team or an organization, what's the implementation time for such a project?
It's the time to explain to people how the process works, how the tool works. Typically, it's like a presentation like this, like an hour, showing the tool to people, and then the actual appraisals, they will take like 15 minutes for a single person. So you can open the round, you can add people's emails and names, right? You can import that from a spreadsheet. If you have a spreadsheet, you can import people's names, and there is no limit to the number of people. We have teams running, with 50, 60 people. Of course, they're not a single squad, let's say, a single team, but they are smaller sub teams, like development software squads. So you have a programmer, a designer, but since these teams, let's say an engineering team of a large company, you can have several smaller teams. But since they collaborate, these smaller teams, you can have these people in the same round. So you don't need to calibrate among several different teams.
Right. And if you can be in multiple teams as well.
I think I better show you.
Yeah, so I'm thinking just from a project standpoint, right? Like a designer or project manager might, dabble in 3 or 4 different or much more projects, right? So they could be in on multiple forms.
Multiple squads, yeah. There's a graph I want to show you.
Is it true that every customer gets a pie delivered to them, or is that just a rumor out over the internet, Klaus?
That happened last year. Every customer of ours got
is that true?
got a chocolate cake delivered to them. Yeah. since you we had a card saying since you helped your team, share the cake fairly. Now here's a cake for you to decide how to share. So let's say we have a large team, right, with several sub teams, like squads in a software development, engineering department. Of course, the appraisals, each of these, the circles is a person, right? The dots are a person. The colors are the different sub teams, and these lines are like the appraisals. So this person appraised this person, and so on. So inside the smaller teams, appraisals will be more frequent, right? But if you can have an occasional appraisal, among teams, across teams. So as you said, a designer might work with more than one team, or you might have a person that recently left one team, went to another, or you might have pair programming going on among teams. You can have a consultant, a specialist, whatever, right? If you have enough connections, right, pollination going on among teams, you can have them all on the same round, and there's no limit on the tool for the size of. And then as a manager, right, you can have a result which is like this. So imagine having to give people raises and to calibrate. This is a true example from our clients of ours. They published this result, and they have 6 teams here, 6 5-person teams in the same round. So it's very easy for them to decide if this person here, let's say, right? This person is asking for a raise. And if he's already one of the top salaries, simply say, look, the team is telling me you don't contribute that much. Or if this guy here is one of the lowest salaries, right? The company can preemptively go and say, hey, you're going to get a raise, right? So it's much easier as a manager to decide what to do with salaries and if I have a result like this, right? So you were asking
and
what it takes to start off at a company. It's basically explaining the tool, right? And then you can leave the import people's names and emails. People will log in using the same email, and people will when they open the tool, they will see this screen, the appraisal screen directly. They don't even have to click any menu or anything. The screen will open directly. They simply express their opinion. They express their appraisal here with a certainty, right? And that's it. So after 2-3 days, you can have the result here.
Oh, very cool. And what's the I'm trying to think of and so internationally it doesn't necessarily have to be money in a sense. It's something scalable, so you could use it for, and I guess I'm trying to think, if you have something, like a group in New York and somebody in the Philippines on the same team, and you gave the percentage of budget for a project, an incremental spend, then a person in the Philippines could potentially double their salary, right? So you wouldn't want to, so you could adjust it according to different parameters, I'm guessing, because it does get manager approval at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, you can have like flat organizations without any managers. They don't have good solutions today. They do money pile. They're all over the place. Or really heavy processes like self-set salaries. So if you have an organization without managers, you can use this result directly as is, right? I ran this in a company of mine like this already. But mostly what will happen is a manager will approve, right? This is the team's opinion, but a manager still will sign off. He might have some strategic reasons. For example, this person here knows some old technology that is important to the clients, but the team doesn't value that. Let's say COBOL, right? This guy knows COBOL, and the team doesn't value that, but the manager will say, no, look, team, I'm giving this guy a bigger salary because the market and the clients value this, and the team doesn't. Or you can say, okay, people who live in New York, they'll get on top of this, they'll get 50% more because they live in an expensive place and they can be here. Our customers are here. So if we need a meeting with our customers, it's very, before the pandemic, right? When we had personal meetings. So this was a rule in one of my companies. We had people living in Sao Paulo, which is a big city, and people living in smaller cities. So we said, look, people who live in Sao Paulo will get 20% more because they can have meetings with the clients, and that was very important for us. And since they had a higher cost of living anyway, that seemed fair to everyone. So you can have, on top of this, you can have rules, right? It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid of team set salaries and formula salary. You can say, for example, okay, this is what people contribute to the team, but the designers here, let's say they're much cheaper to hire. They're 20% cheaper to hire than coders for some market reason. So, beforehand, the manager will tell the team, look, team, this is what we're going to do. And, coders will have a 20% increase because of the market. Right. That's okay. So the manager only has to decide these more strategic moves, right? These more strategic rules. He doesn't have to, case by case and have a one-on-one with everyone and compare everyone and interpret all these results and do, ad hoc decisions. You have a much more solid basis for your decisions as a manager.
Yeah, it's funny, and I was thinking about an experience I had when I probably about 20 years ago when I was on a sales team. We tried to run a number of different programs and tried to put us in teams. And I know there was, taking a bunch of individual goal-oriented people and trying to put them in teams wasn't necessarily the best thing. But there was a reason for it, and one of the reasons were that there was a lot of discrepancy between the salespeople, because they would knock on, go out of their territory or knock on other people's customers, and so and then we had this is going back now that I think about it. We had to the process of getting a proposal out, had to go to the sales admins, and there was like four of them per team, and they had to do a proposal and almost type each one out, because I forgot about how annoying it was, and it always seemed like a couple people buttered them up and got their stuff done a little bit better, right? So when they put this incentive in, what they really wanted to do was try to figure out how to motivate everybody to work as a team. And I could totally see how something like this would have made a lot of sense to with a
sales.
With the sales, because we had a couple folks that were just they weren't nice to play with, right? And they weren't good for the organization. But the problem with salespeople, Klaus, if you've had this, is if they're performing and hitting budget, it's really easy to look the other way from a culture, from an engagement standpoint, because they're hitting numbers. And if you've read Jack Welch's book, he said those are the hardest people to get rid of, right? Is your top performers with bad morale. And something like this would be a really easy tool for these guys to sort of be evaluated, right?
One of our clients has a hybrid approach. So they do 30% commissions for a sales team specifically. 30% commissions, 70% team set salaries. So they have a hybrid approach. It's interesting.
Yeah, and it would just drive great engagement and teamwork. Right?
Cool. Okay, that's basically it. If people want to try it out on the site, right? Percival.live. There's a free trial there. Up to 5 people, you can see how it works and try. And if someone wants to use it in their company, I can help them. I can give them a demo. On the site, you can also request a demo.
Perfect.
And I can show you how it works.
Great. So and the deck is good to share. The video will come out to folks. So thank you for putting this together, and thank you everybody for attending.
Thank you very much, David. See you.
All right, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye everybody.